Why isn't that doesn't look like what it's supposed to? Sorry, you guys. I'm having just a slight technical difficulty here. There we go. Lisa, can you see my screen?
I can see it.
Okay, perfect. Then we are ready to get started. So I just want to say good afternoon and welcome to Eating to Win, everyone that's on here. I want to thank you so much for joining me. And I want to thank Coach Smith and Lauren, one of the moms that has helped to set this up for me. So whether you're an athlete or a parent of an athlete, I hope you leave this talk with some practical tips and simple things you can do today that will improve your performance or your child's performance. So my name is Kristin Finley, and I'm a registered dietitian and personal trainer. I was a Division I gymnast at Oregon State University. Go Beavers. I'm so excited that the basketball team is going to the Elite Eight. And I am currently a mom to college and high school lacrosse players. So I'm the daughter of a coach, and Butch Smith's wife is my cousin. So I guess we are family. I love Butch to death. So as a dietitian and athlete, I know the power food has in performance and recovery. But since most of you don't know me, I thought I'd share a short clip of somebody you probably know, and love him or not, I don't think any of us can deny his incredible athleticism and longevity in his sport. So I'm going to turn this clip on real quick.
Hi, pepperoni pizza. And for Hidden Valley Ranch.
1 second, I can stop.
If I were to go look inside your fridge, and I won't, but what would I find in there?
You can go look. I'll bring you in there.
Okay, all right. Okay, we'll take a look.
Probably a lot of stuff that's made here at the house. We have a garden out back. So we have like a lot of vegetables, all the salads we come from our garden and so forth. But just a lot of good, healthy stuff.
For Tom Brady, good healthy stuff means food rich in nutrients like fiber and protein, but low in sugar and salt.
What's your perfect meal?
What time of day?
Okay, let's start with breakfast.
I eat a smoothie most of the time, like a really calorie-dense, nutrient-dense smoothie. My ideal one was like a blueberry smoothie with some seeds and some nuts, some electrolytes, some protein powder.
And almond milk, right?
I love almond milk, hemp milk, a little rice milk from time to time.
Can you get bacon into a smoothie?
you probably could. You know, if people like that, they put them on donuts, and you get bacon a lot of places, but I know.
But not in your case.
I'm not saying that's not good, because that does taste very good, but everything in balance. That's
Yeah.
one thing.
Brady sticks to a mostly plant-based diet, but allows for some lean meat and poultry.
And I'm not opposed to meat, obviously. We have roast chicken in here. So like, there's a little meat, but it's usually like little meat and vegetables. Sometimes it's, like some type of pasta. It wouldn't be like a, flour pasta or anything like that. But yeah, something that's going to just keep inflammation down.
Yeah.
He tailors his diet to foods that reduce inflammation. That, he says, leads to quicker recovery times during the season.
Those electrolytes in there or just?
Electrolytes. A lot of electrolytes.
Another Tom Brady essential, water, and lots of it.
You drink half your body weight in ounces.
Yeah.
So how much do you weigh?
So I'm about 230 pounds.
So you drink like 115 ounces of water?
Yeah, probably more. Yeah. Just because there's still a lot of, output per day. So I'm still losing a lot of fluids. I'd say like if you weren't exercising on a particular day, that would be the baseline. I would say half your body weight in ounces. But, you have muscle injuries because, you've lost so much fluid. Muscles are dehydrated.
Whoops, sorry.
Muscles are tight. I try to stay really on top of my hydration. I'm asking my body to perform at the highest levels. I need the highest levels of hydration too.
Brady believes proper hydration and a well-researched diet,
Squat, press,
along with pliability,
repeat,
are keeping him on the field in his 40s. And while some may see it as a diet full of limitations, he says the opportunities it creates are limitless.
Then a lot of times I'll do those as I shuffle in the pocket. I love to work out. I love to train, and I love to eat good. You know why I love to eat good? Because it makes me feel better. And if I feel better, then I can work out more. If I can work out more, I go play soccer with my kids on a Saturday in the backyard, and then go play a football game on Sunday.
And there's Brady.
I'm the oldest non-kicker in the league. You know, so that's pretty cool too. You know, if I get to 45 really healthy, you know, then I get to make a decision. But I do want to go out on my terms. I do want to go out playing my best. I want to go out, you know, playing the sport that I love at a really high level, and never being someone that is weighing down the team.
So I love that clip. I think it's really powerful. And some of the things that really stand out to me in there is that he stresses that he embraces moderation, but his diet is primarily plant-based. I think I heard him say he does have some chicken and stuff. He's not a vegan, but he eats a lot of plants. He focuses on foods that reduce inflammation. I think that's awesome. He aims for half his body weight in ounces of water every day on a non-athletic day, and more when he's exercising or performing. Really powerful stuff. And finally, what really stood out to me the most in that clip is that he stresses that rather than thinking of his diet as being limiting all the things that he can't have, he thinks of it as eating to feel his best, which creates opportunities. I think that's so awesome. It's so important. And I want you guys to, and gals, who's ever on here, I want you to start thinking about what your goals are. You know, are you wanting to stay healthy so you can play throughout high school? Would you like to play your sport in college? I know some of you probably have dreams of wanting to play in the major leagues. And knowing what a major league contract could amount to, if you took care of yourself now so that you could play an extra even 3 to 5 years in the future, you know, like Tom Brady, what would that money be worth it for making some adjustments today? So I want to, those are a few things that I really would love you to think about. So my hope in the next few minutes here is that you'll have a better idea of how to optimally fuel your body. You'll understand what proper nutrition can really do for you, and you'll have some practical advice for initiating better nutrition. So I'm going to flip the slide here. And like this slide says, your body basically needs two things to run properly. It needs gas and oil. And our body's gasoline is called macronutrition, and that consists of carbohydrates, protein, and fat. And your body's oil is called micronutrition and consists of vitamins, minerals, and phytonutrients. And it's really important to know the distinction because the macronutrition and the micronutrition really have two very different roles. So let's talk about macronutrition first. And macronutrition is what fuels performance. It is the gasoline in the car. If our body doesn't have proper macronutrition, it's simply going to stop functioning. So in the athlete world, a lot of times we'll refer to this as hitting the wall. So sometimes the first signs of running low on gas is irritability, agitation, and an I can't attitude. I've noticed this when I have ridden my bike, when I'm out riding, you know, cycling long distance, and I start running out of gas and the hills come up and I start just like kind of almost in a panic of I'm not going to be able to climb the hill. I'm not going to be able, and I start talking myself out of it when I know that it's not even that big of a hill, that I'm totally capable of doing it. But when you start running low on fuel, your mind is the first thing that starts to trick you out. So I think that's a good thing for parents to understand too. When you see your kids kind of getting like that, there's a good chance that they're just under fueled, that they need more gas in their body. So when you start getting these signs, what follows really quickly is performance. Performance is going to start going down. And the remedy to increasing your energy is to refuel with more carbohydrate, fat, and protein. So this slide just gives a few examples of some good sources of carbohydrate. I think, I heard it really quick in that interview with Tom Brady, where he says, we eat pasta, not the kind with flour in it. We are finding out that perhaps gluten can be inflammatory for a lot of people. So when I put up examples of carbohydrate, these are not meant to be all inclusive. And pasta would be a carbohydrate, but so is things like rice and quinoa that I put up here too. And you can't forget your fruits. Your fruits are a really good source of carbohydrate. And so putting things into smoothies or putting ingredients that have carbohydrates to make smoothies and things like that is another way to get good gasoline into your body. And this leads to a quick discussion because people always ask me, what should I be eating before practice and before games? And so I like to kind of use this, a slide like this to say you need two things for performance. You really need to make sure you have enough gasoline. You need to make sure you have enough water. And the gasoline is going to depend, what you put in your body to your pre-game or your pre-practice meal is going to depend on how much time you have before practice. So it takes about 3 hours to take a meal and break it down into energy. So 3 hours if you're eating carbohydrate, protein, and fat. So if you have practice at 10, if you eat at 7, you can pretty much eat anything that you want. The healthier, the better, but you can pretty much eat whatever you want and it's going to have turned into energy. You're going to be getting some energy from that meal by 10 o'clock. So if you wait till 8 o'clock to eat, now your body isn't going to be able to digest, especially the fats and proteins as well. So you want to make that, meal have more carbohydrate and fewer protein and fat, so that it can break it down and give you energy. If you're within an hour or less before a practice or a game, you want to have that, whatever you're eating, be primarily carbohydrate. And you want to ditch the fat and the protein because it's gonna increase the amount of time that it takes to digest the other stuff. So I hope that gives you, if you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them, but that gives you a little bit of a breakdown. Think of that 3 hours before. And that's where we sort of come into problems with practices being right after school, because a lot of times kids have not, like maybe they ate lunch at noon and they don't have a great snack with them. And then they go right from school to practice. And now they're operating on like zero fuel. So that's where it's important to keep car snacks and things available to provide more fuel before a practice. And water. I think the Tom Brady interview said it perfectly. We really try to get people to have half their body weight in ounces every day on just a normal day. And if you're outside playing baseball or softball or whatever it is, and the sun is out and you're sweating, you're going to need more than that. So think of taking a sip of water at least every 15 to 20 minutes. And when I say a sip, I mean like a couple gulps. And I put on here that like a big gulp of water is about an ounce. So, think about having at least 8 or so ounces of water every hour, but sipping throughout that hour, every 15 to 20 minutes at least. So I want to move on a little bit and talk about micronutrition. So understanding the role of micronutrition requires a little understanding of metabolism. And when we use carbohydrate, fat, and protein for energy, that's called metabolism. It's the process of turning energy or turning our food into energy. And when we do that, when we turn our food into energy, we create waste products known as oxidative stress or free radicals. And you think of those things like the sparks from a campfire. So when the fire burns, when you have a fire burning or food turning into energy, if we're going to look at metabolism, same analogy, it creates sparks. And, at a campfire, those sparks are fire. In your body, those sparks are oxidative stress and free radical damage. And these sparks, they have to be put out or they're going to go on to damage your cells, your tissues, and your organs. And because athletes use more energy, because they're making more energy, their metabolism is higher, they create more oxidative stress and free radical damage than the average individual. So how do we put out these sparks? We have to feed the body a lot of antioxidants and phytonutrients. Phytonutrients are plant chemicals that are in phytonutrients are in every fruit and vegetable. And we first discovered them about 35-ish years ago. And we found that phytonutrients are the little components in food, the compounds in food that protect the plant, or in plants that protect the plant from all kinds of things, like the damaging effects of the sun, from pests, from molds and mildews, and all kinds of things. And we found out that they also protect our body in much the same way. So we have to have a diet that is really high in antioxidants and phytonutrients to fight this oxidative stress and free radical damage. And where do they come from? They come from fruits and vegetables, like I just alluded to. So micronutrition doesn't make the body run like the macronutrition does, but just like the oil in our cars, it makes the body run well. And without adequate micronutrition, the body will start to break down. A lot of times you'll hear this breakdown referred to as overuse injuries. I don't know if any of you guys been diagnosed with overuse injuries, tendinitis, bursitis, arthritis, shin splints, stress fractures. Those are all things that are referred to as overuse injuries, but I think what's really going on is chronic inflammation caused from inadequate recovery. So not so much overuse, but under recovered. And if you're constantly unable to neutralize oxidative stress, the cells and tissues and organs get hit from these reactive substances tens of thousands of times per day. Okay, and they result in damage and inflammation, and that's, you know, it's not good to an athletic career. This inadequate recovery is the same reason athletes are more prone to getting sick when the training ramps up and when they go to college, and suddenly the healthy meals that mom once made are no longer being consumed. So let's go on to the next slide here. So what can we do to get more recovery nutrition, i.e. fruits and vegetables, into our kids' bodies? We start by adding more plants in their bodies. We can use as a dietitian, I use this My Plate method a lot, where we aim for 1/2 of the meals and snacks to be fruits and vegetables. It's so simple, you guys. I mean, I wish I had something really monumental to tell you, but the fact of the matter is it's simple, but it's just not very easy, right? So the sad truth is that 90% of us, and that's not just our kids, that's us too. 90% of us are not getting the recommended servings, and most athletes just can't. You remember how I said that athletes have a higher metabolism? Well, because they create more oxidative stress, they need more fruits and vegetables than the average person. And the average person needs 7 to 13 fist-sized servings of fruits and vegetables every day. And athletes can need up to 20 servings a day to really dampen down or to put out the sparks that are created from oxidative stress and free radical damage. So I think it just shows, you know, the number of serious conditions we're seeing in our country, like asthma and allergies, childhood obesity, childhood diabetes, childhood heart disease, autoimmune disease. I have an autoimmune disease, and when I was a kid, I was the only kid that had an autoimmune disease. I was diagnosed when I was 6. Now, if you don't have an autoimmune disease, you're kind of the odd man out. You're the kid that has the garden in the backyard and your mom makes you eat it all. So, you know, I think that on top of all the sports injuries that I've already mentioned, our country in general is having a lot of problems from the fact that we simply don't get enough fruits and vegetables every day. For athletes, it's critical. It's critical that we get lots of servings. It's critical that we get a wide variety, because remember I was telling you about the phytonutrition in all the plants. Turns out that every single plant has a different composition of phytonutrition, and to run our body efficiently, our body uses phytonutrients from all different kinds of fruits and vegetables to run different little micro pathways of metabolism and things that I won't get into, but to make your body run really good. So you not only need lots of servings, you need a wide variety. That's where you hear eat the rainbow. And I'm not referring to Skittles. I'm referring to fruits and vegetables. So, one of the things that my family and I have done about 5 years ago, I found the first and only product that I've felt really good about recommending and using in my nutrition business. And it's called Juice Plus. And it's simple. It's just food. It's simply 30 vine ripened, herbicide and pesticide free fruits and vegetables and berries that are basically, they're mashed up, they're made into powders, and then they're encapsulated or put into gummies. It's a simple way to get more produce into our bodies and bridge the gap between the fruits and vegetables that we should eat and what we actually eat. The things that set it apart for me, there's a few things that I really love about this product. And one is that it's researched and that it has been shown in peer-reviewed studies to get into the body. That means it's bioavailable and do the same thing that fruits and vegetables do in the body. It's not a vitamin and mineral supplement. It's simply dried, concentrated food, plant food, fruits and vegetables. And the product actually has a food label, not a supplement label on it. So I love that about it, because you have all the nutrition of the whole apple in there versus just the vitamin C, just the isolated, vitamin and minerals. So it's NSF certified, which means it's third-party tested to ensure that what's on the label is in the product and nothing is in the product that isn't on the label. So it's certified to be pure. And they even have a NSF certified for sport for professional athletes, so that you can be sure that you will pass any drug test that you're given. So several studies on the product show that it decreases inflammation and oxidative stress. And one of the studies was specifically done on on elite athletes. They were actually the Cobra unit, which is a special forces unit in Austria, and had amazing results for the athletes. So those are really the things that set this product apart from anything else that I've ever looked at in my 30 years of being a dietitian. So I'm convinced that if I would have had this product back when I was doing gymnastics, I wouldn't have had all the overuse, i.e. all the under recovery injuries that I dealt with. And I may have been able to save myself from some of the 6 surgeries that I had in the 4 years I was at college. I was really kind of a orthopedic mess there. So my kids have taken it and have dealt with very few under recovery issues. And despite being a dietitian, I hate to admit it, but my 17-year-old isn't a good fruit and vegetable eater. And my 22-year-old, which is, I even hate to admit worse, he lives on drive-through restaurants in Wisconsin where he attends college. And I hate that happens, but there's not a lot I can do about that. But I do know that he does take this every day, and that he has stayed well. He has had very few illnesses, and he's never missed a game for an injury. Well, he's never missed a game, period, but he's never had to miss a game for an injury in his 4 years of college. So it's been a really awesome product for us. The really cool thing too is that for kids ages 4 to 18 or full-time college students, if a parent or adult sponsors them by buying their own product, you can get the kids' product for free. So that has really been a big plus for us as well. So the other product I love from this company is the Complete Protein Shakes. It's a plant-based protein powder that contains 13 grams of protein and 8 grams of fiber. It's gluten-free, dairy-free, and vegan. And most of all, it tastes really good. So I use it as a quick meal or a snack, and as a pre-workout or post-workout fuel. Because it contains 11 plants, it's not only providing the macronutrition, the gasoline that we need to fuel performance for games and practices, but it also provides micronutrition to fuel recovery. And recovery, you guys, I can't say it enough. It's the blind spot of athlete nutrition. Everyone wants the carbohydrates and the protein to build the muscle, but none of us want to think about how are we going to deal with recovery. And I love that the fiber blend in this complete acts as a food for the good bacteria in the gut. That's called a prebiotic. So it helps to promote good gut health too. The versatility of this product allows it to be used in smoothies, breakfast bowls, such as overnight oats, energy bites that you could take out to games and practices with you just for an on-the-go snack. And you can even use it there's lots of recipes to use it in puddings or other kinds of treats as well. So super versatile product. And everyone asks me like, well, how much does this stuff cost? And it varies depending on the products that you choose, as you can see on the price slide here. But I always like to share when I talk about the price, I always like to share that when our family decided to initiate Juice Plus for our family, it wasn't really an easy decision. I knew my kids weren't eating enough fruits and vegetables. I knew I was starting to deal with some health issues. And I also knew as a dietitian that there is no condition that is made worse by adding more produce to your diet. And most conditions are actually made better. So as a one income family, however, it meant coming up with a little extra money. So my husband, Charlie, and we started on the fruits, vegetables, and berries. They didn't have, and I haven't even talked I haven't talked at all about the omegas, but we do have a plant-based omega supplement as well. But we started on the fruits, vegetables, and berries. Our two boys were able to get the fruits and vegetables for free through the Healthy Starts for Family program. And then because we have three boys, we paid for our youngest son to take the fruits and veggies as well. So we had the whole family taking it. I figured if we ate out at a sit-down restaurant 2 less times a month, it would just about cover the cost of it for our family. So today we all take the quad. We all take the fruits, the vegetables, the berries, and the omegas. And my husband, my son, my college-age son, and I drink the shakes regularly. I have yet to really turn my really picky youngest son onto them. So I always put my soy latte from Starbucks up here because I do love a soy latte, and I stop by there more frequently maybe than I'd like to admit. But for less than the price of my soy latte, I can put the nutrition of 45 different plants into my body every single day. And knowing that plants aren't just good for us, but they're so good for us that they could actually save our lives makes me feel good about, the decision that we made to add this. So just, in summary here, I want to say that good nutrition, that the way an athlete fuels their body can affect the number of injuries they have. It can affect their illnesses that they have, and it may affect the longevity, the length of time that they're able to play their sport. And we've got to start young, because you don't see that breakdown of the body beginning. You don't see until things start getting big, and then you start seeing the problem. So we really do have to start young. And athletics aside, we are failing miserably at getting enough good nutrition into all of our bodies, just as a nation. And so I also like to really point out that we need to, athletics aside, we need to really work on our health for the long term. Our bodies need gasoline and oil, known as macronutrition and micronutrition, to run effectively and efficiently. Macronutrition fuels performance. That's what's going to get you through, the immediate practice and games. But micronutrition is going to fuel your recovery. Fruits and vegetables are the foundation to good nutrition by providing the micronutrition necessary to fuel recovery and allow for day-to-day activity. I'm 53 years old and I work out I work out 5 or 6 days a week. And my body is able to just keep going. And that's what I've loved about, making sure that I always try to get lots of fruits and vegetables in my diet, but I also take the Juice Plus too. And I really feel that it has allowed me to go day after day. To maximize fruit and vegetable intake, athletes should be encouraged to eat half their plate as fruits and vegetables at meals and snacks. And I know that's hard, you guys, and we got to come up with some ways, like, how are we going to do that? I know it's so hard when you are coming from work and you got to get your kid to practice, and the easiest thing is to stop by whatever drive-through is on the way. But we got to figure out a way to put more produce in our kids' bodies. If you know you're not getting enough fruits and vegetables, Juice Plus might be, it might be a way. It's not the only tool in my dietitian tool bag, but it is certainly one that does make things easier, and it does help to bridge the gap. So if you know that you or your child are not getting enough to really support what they're trying to do, you might consider adding that into their diet. And I'm going to go ahead and turn off the screen share and just come back to the presentation here and see if anyone has any questions. Anyone? Bueller? It's like, I feel like a little bit like the teacher. I see everyone's like photos up. It's just you and me, Lisa. So if no one has any questions, then I will go ahead and stop the recording, and we can be on our way. But if you have any questions, I did put all
Xander does. He asked in the chat, how do we know which foods are inflammatory?
Oh, good. That's an awesome question. So inflammatory foods, what we are finding is that things that cause inflammation, gluten and dairy, tend to be high inflammatory foods. So gluten is in anything that contains wheat, barley, and rye. And a lot of oats tend to get contaminated with gluten, but they're not technically a gluten containing food. So that is one thing that if people are wanting to decrease their inflammation, we say, try going off gluten for a little bit and see how you feel when you do that. Dairy tends to be another one that causes low grade inflammation. So that's where Tom Brady is using stuff like oat milk or what did he say? Almond milk, I think was his big one. Almond and hemp milk. I've never tried hemp milk or rice milk, but anyway, so yeah, those things can be used in substitute. And we've gone in our family, we have very little dairy in our house anymore. So any other questions? I should have checked the chat here. So thank you, Lauren, for your comment.
Yeah, thank you. It was a great presentation. And we're definitely, our family's definitely interested. I know we tried the samples and we really loved it tasted really good, and definitely interested to see how it'll help with all the performance.
Yeah, so I put my contact information up there, and Lauren had reached out to me before. So if anyone is wanting some samples, if you email me, right, email me or text me or whatever, I can get you, I can send you out some samples too, to try and see if that's something that you'd like to do. Any other questions?
I think my son Dylan might have a question.
Yeah, Dylan.
Do you have like an opinion on like creatine?
I'm sorry, I missed it. Say that one more time.
Do you have like an opinion on creatine?
I do have, I mean, I think creatine can work somewhat in the short term. As far as long term, I don't know if the jury is totally is in on that. I think you might get some short-term gains, but and I can look that up a little bit more for you and send you some recommendations if that's something that you're interested in.
Yeah, I'm just like taking it right now to try like and gain more muscle. So I just wanted to know like what your opinion was on it, because I was seeing results. But as of lately, I haven't really seen as much, so I can kind of see what you're saying.
Yeah. In the short term, I think it can, Lisa, do you have any insight on that?
I mean, for short term, my boys did it when they were younger too, but if it's long term, a lot of times they say it weakens your joints and ligaments and creates more injury too, from too much creatine. That's, whoever they is, that's why it shouldn't be a long-term thing, because that's what they say can happen. And so, but short term, like very short term, it can give you that muscle boost, and but there's the negatives to too much creatine as well. That's why, and the bloating that goes along with it. And because it's in red meat and all of that as well. So sometimes, if you're eating like that and then also doing creatine, that also creates a lot of stuff happening in your body. So
yeah. That's the thing, Dylan, is I'm always really concerned about, like, we want you to be healthy, productive, awesome athletes, but we also want to protect your bodies, like, for being healthy adults as well. And I know you're not concerned about being a healthy adult because you're a kid and you guys are going to live forever. But as a dietitian that's now getting, that's a little bit older, I've worked with athletes and I would love to help, preserve your, make the most of what you got but we don't want to do stuff that's going to be detrimental later on too.
Yeah.
Anything else, you guys? Well, I appreciate you getting on. I feel like a teacher teaching a Zoom class because I love all y'all have your your photos up. But I will stop I'm going to stop the recording and then I will